Boom, baby, boom. Mind blown.
Welcome to the weather. Cold, really rainy. I haven't slept a wink. Yeah. It's going to be a long one, so I'm just going to get into it. It's all my fault. You know, the way I've treated people has got me bad results. Now, for some of my friends who I consider friends, they still call me. They still tell me they love me. And hell, some of even the models have reached out and said, hey, I owe you some photos. But the truth is I've blown it with people my whole life. I was learning about personality disorders, narcissistic, obsessive, um, bipolar. And coming from a mother that's severely bipolar, I had to realize that she treated me in a way that made me feel superior. My father was the same way. He could be very dismissive, even to his own son. And if you weren't first, you were last. I thought life was only about winning. I thought as long as you win at all cost, even disrespecting people or abusing people or using my force to get my way would be the only way, the best way. And upon revelations, I've had to learn to control my temper. Oh my God, somebody's already watching and liking this. I've had to find self control, and I paid the ultimate price before my son's life was even taken. I knew that I couldn't talk to people the way that I've been talking to people. Now, for a morning motivation, pretty easy. You get on the thing, you stick to the topic, you talk about the highlight points, you rap about it a little bit, and you sound like you know what you're talking about. What I didn't know, and what I would tell my younger self at 43 years old, is don't disrespect anybody. I tell people all the time you can be touched. That means you could be arrested, you could be divorced, you could be shot. Anybody can be touched. Mobsters, yakuza, you name it. Eventually, like the government touches you, a bystander touches you, someone that has revenge over you touches you. And that's what happened. I'd love to sit here and blame my ex for everything. She thinks that's what the show's all about. I like to think that I'm telling on myself. I tell personal things to public, and I won't share our personal things with the public. But what I will share is that um, you're never going to get what you want by force. My spiritual mentor, Terry Prince, the love teacher, would tell you that there is no love in force. If you have to force your way or coerce your way or manipulate your way into getting something, you're not going to have it for long. You might be able to get it, but you're not going to have it for long. And the amount of people that I burned in my life really triggered my depression last week, more than just the people that were friends, family members, people close to me, learned to not associate with me. They've learned that when the chips fall, I might freak out. This is a fourth thing. I think most people know fight or flight. Thanks, Benny Mac. My co-pro's watching. Fight or flight. Most of us know freeze, but the fourth one is freak out. And in my personality disorder, my toxic behavior was to freak out, was to just ratchet it up as if DEF CON 5 wasn't enough. I'd find DEF CON 11, past the 10, onto the 11, the highest level. And in that, I've lost trust in people. I lost a baby. I've lost relationships. It's the way I treated people. People that loved me, people that I was close with. This is coming from friends to lovers to siblings. I don't see it that way. Of course, with the narcissism perspective, you're only going to see the way you want to see things. In my world, the way that I was raised was you kind of take no shit and and you give even back more shit. It's a fuck around and find out environment. You think that it's enough for my parents to get divorced, but they literally battled in front of me. And to see my father, choking out my mom or breaking her nose or whatever other abuse that was going on towards my siblings or my mother, I'd like to put it all on this man. This my father that I have no relationship with. The amount of abuse and alcohol uh, fueled a very driven son that I would never be that way. Now, my brother's done better at this than me. He's never drank, never smoked, and I'm about to smoke a bong rip right now. I kind of want to just like bring my brother around if he ever trusts me again, which he won't. Um, Bring him around and be like, here's the taller, skinnier, better version of me. Looks just like me, has a mole like me, just better human being. He's better at coaching. They trust children around him. I'm just a teacher. He's better at finances. He's got better self control, and he doesn't have the vices that I have. Speaking of vices, this is Saints Addiction, so let me get my morning motivation in because I'm emotional. Another one of my triggers. I thought you could just will it. I remember one time I was with my friend in Thailand, and he went to do a visa run or something. And I moved our bungalow to the front beach. I moved his stuff and my stuff without his permission. He ended up moving to the back row in the cheapest bungalows and said, you just manipulated your way into having this choice. And I was like, no, man, we got it for cheap. I got us this extra room. Yeah, and you got the bigger bed, didn't you, Saint? And I argued with him and I said, I don't manipulate people to get my way. My salesmanship could be a form of manipulation. You know, um, Staying here with my friends, even though they wake me up, I didn't get to sleep at all. They're on their methamphetamines and keeping me up at weird hours and fucking up my schedule. And I should be going for a workout, but I got no sleep. I'm not tired yet, but might as well go work out in this rainy, cold weather, trapped in Finland. I finally have some alone time. And upon further review and processing what my ex told me, she said I treated her like shit. And listen to that Norwegian girl. She said, I'm going to be nice to you. I'm going to tell you what I don't like about you. I'm like, you don't even know me. She said, I don't like the way you talk to me when you don't get the way that you want it to be. And I thought to myself, who does? You know, who acts benevolent when people don't go their way, when people don't like their ideas or don't like the front bungalow? People have choice. We always have choices. What I'm mad about is myself. My choices is how I treated people. If I feel slighted, which I have felt slighted, and I think we've all felt slighted in our lives, that I would show my darker side, that I would show my evil spirits, you know? Sure, I'm not the only one that's ever lost their temper and showed their other side. They said there was 4 phases to a relationship. There's the honeymoon phase, which everybody's in love with everybody. Farts don't stink. Then there's the second phase, which is finding out that shit does stink and everyone has a dark side. The third phase is to reconcile that dark side with someone, to be able to say, I love you, warts and all, even besides your dark side. The fourth phase is harmony, something I don't know much about. I haven't reached that level before. Out of all the cool levels that I thought I reached, 7 wonders of the world, traveling the world 3 times, start a business from nothing, even though I'm not successful. I don't have any money in my account. That it would be an aha moment, that I would be right, that no matter how I treated people, as long as I won, that's all that mattered. And I lost in the biggest way. Been watching the Big Short. I don't know if you guys remember the housing crisis and how some people shorted the housing market, and no one believed the American housing market would tank the way that it did. But it tanked, and so did I. I didn't just lose billions, I lost a son. I lost something priceless. And to be on the other side of my folly, you know, I knew that arguing with a pregnant woman 5 months along and trying to not violently pull her out of the car, but intimidate her to get the fuck out of the car, that I was actually intimidating her to scare her into losing the child. It didn't help that I left the country. It didn't help that I cheated on her. And it didn't help that I had that argument when I came back. I drilled holes in my canoe that I couldn't fill. I sabotaged my future. I've sabotaged relationships. I've borrowed against my good name for a lot of things, and I didn't hold true to my good name. I didn't show my good side. I felt like I skipped level 2 to be level 1, that I'd just show my warts and all, and if someone would survive my hurricane, that they belonged in my weather. And I did this all my relationships since I remember distinctly physically running from my high school sweetheart, and she physically ran after me. It was never enough. None of these women could love me the right way. Any slight that they said to me would be taken personally. And I saw it as, and these are all my relationships, that I've turned my lovers into my enemies. These people I decided to start battling with, instead of healing them and loving them and making them their full potential, I belittled them or told them how crazy they were, or just intimidated them. There's a reason why my siblings don't talk to me. It's because I'm an asshole. There's a reason why my mom divorced my father. It's because he's an asshole. Um, I learned cold-heartedness, from my father moving. I remember we had gay roommate he had, taught us how to play chess, me and my brother Jeremy. But he moved his stuff out in black paper bags, plastic bags, like the middle of the night, and dropped it off. I don't remember, but not his place. And my dad would always pull some shady shit. To say that I've not done some shady shit would be a lie, you know. Um, I'm not a liar, but I have lied. I know adults lie. I know that on this non-sleep morning after revelations, the closure I was seeking was really um, a lesson to be learned on. I thought it was my temper, and it was really my treatment. It's the way that I'm made. Up against hard parents, up against hard situations in life, I just bit down into my mouthpiece and I doubled down on go harder. Now I'm supposed to be smarter, but I just went harder. I worked harder hours, I worked longer hours, I did more crazier shit just so I could stay relevant, so I can get my name out there, because all I wanted was success. As long as I had success, people would just see me as a genius and they would omit my bad behavior. They ended up omitting my baby. And the thing that I wanted the most and talked about my whole life and matters the most to me, and I found life to be empty without it, I ended up gambling. I ended up shorting. I didn't believe that she would kill a baby at 22 weeks, 24 weeks, whatever far along she was, 5 months. This child had a heartbeat, that he had already beat the odds of us arguing, and that he already beat the odds of me fucking up multiple times, and that this child would beat the odds and save the planet. This was a bad assumption on my part, that at any moment I could be touched, any moment I could be imprisoned, any moment um, I could hit zero. I can crap out in the game of life. Bust is what we call it in Vegas. I busted my biggest hand. Kept saying hit me, hit me, hit me, and really I kept hitting her with whatever form of abuse I could come up with. I could say that she triggered me, and of course she did. You know, did she calm me or bring me peace? No, no. She kept calling me names and pressing my buttons and stonewalling me, or sometimes just outright degrading me. And of course, I was going to be my normal, typical Taurus self and put my horns down and gorge whatever was in front of me. How dare you talk to me that way? I'm so entitled. My mom raised me that way. Kind of like the king treatment. Like, Mark can never do any wrong, and don't talk to my son that way. That's my handsome son. That's my firstborn. And on that shoulders, I stood tall. I'm Francis Mark St. Arnaud the sixth. I didn't know anybody else that was a sixth generation. And knowing that my generations don't go to lucky number 7, something I always thought and felt responsible for, to bear my name and go into the future. Out of 6 generations, the last 2 being absolute drama and devastation and embarrassment, comes Mark St. up to bat, and I struck out in the worst way possible. I couldn't seem to muster the patience. I didn't seem to have the aptitude for the bullshit. I found it like I shouldn't have to deal with it. You're a single mom. You should be grateful that I even showed up. Same attitude that I had with my business. I'm doing your shirts. You should be grateful that I work all these hours. When really people just wanted their shirts. They didn't care how many hours I worked. They didn't care how hard I worked or how I had to finagle to make their shirts, and most of their shirts came out subpar. I didn't have the right equipment. I didn't know the equipment good enough, and I overpromised and underdelivered. It's the shame of my life. I will forever, forever think about how I blew it with one of the most wonderful women I've ever met. She asked me, "Why did you want to have children with me?" It's because you were such a good mom with your other children. I can talk shit about you not having custody of your children, and I'm sure that didn't help. But you also did whatever it took for your kids, and that's what I was looking for. Somebody that was going to go all in with me. I tested that all in on a hand of my life, and I busted it. I literally hit the cards too many times, and I busted 21. I went way over 21. I went way over normal reaction, and like I said, I freaked out. To be here this morning after watching my friends smoke crack, after my friends coming in again at 6 a.m., the 3rd time in the week, fucking up my sleep schedule, not saying sorry, turning on the lights and leaving without saying bye. After I cleaned all the house, and I still don't have a ticket as they promised me, and I need to find a way to get the fuck out of here because the weather is closing in on me, and I do need my mental health. I love Finland, but not in the fall and definitely not in the winter. And my mom says it really does scare her. She's like, "I don't know how to get a hold of you when your phone's off. Who's gonna call me if you're hurt?" Fucking motorcycle engines. How will I know? And it really concerns her when I travel on a shoestring budget. I'm too much of a gambler. I've gambled on festivals. I've gambled on pregnancies. I've gambled on my future. And to watch The Big Short, I'm not in the financial crisis. That was in 2008. That's almost 10 years ago, and I'm sure we recovered. But what I did do is I busted a bubble. This bubble that was inside of me, this I love my life, this over the top guy, this personality that would show up for a morning motivation, is also the guy that is abusive behind doors. Most narcissists don't want to share that. most narcissists will have no empathy and they won't show the other side of them. To say that I had addictions up front and call my company Saints Addiction and invest in addiction brand from the beginning was a lot. I had a $1 billion investor, and I remember talking to him in the car. Actually, he was arguing, asking me to shut up, and I couldn't shut up. I have little self control. I feel like if I'm knowing something, then it must be right. But that's the danger of it. And that's the quote that I posted in here today. It's a Mark Twain quote, but it's not things that we know that are dangerous, that we don't know that are dangerous. It's the things that we assume that we know are the dangerous ones. I assume that because, I'm a physically fit guy, I'm good looking, I keep my word, I got this saint last name, I try hard, um, um, try harder than most. I didn't smoke crack when it was offered to me. I was like, no, I don't need that habit. And I didn't influence my friend when he said he wanted to stop smoking weed. I said, good idea, get your shit together. And then when my friends show up again at 6 a.m., high on methamphetamines, not sleeping, fuck this motorcycle, I too realized that, there's a lot of people that are out of control, you know, and it's of their own fault because they keep choosing the easy way out. I'm sure he would have operated on the workforce, and I hope nothing happens to him. He's my brother. But I definitely want him operating heavy machinery or being around heavy machinery on a full day of sleep, not after being up for a couple days, not missing sleep or fucking up my sleep. I'd love to say that I was waking up right now, that I got 8 full hours of sleep, and that I'm headed out into this rain and pulling a Rocky moment and getting a workout. Yesterday, we did some pull ups, which really pumped me up, and I was content with myself physically, but I'm not content with myself mentally. And I'm going to smoke while this motorcycle goes by. I overestimated my self importance. I thought that this baby would be too beautiful to kill, that it was perfect timing, and no one that loved me would do something like that. But someone that I didn't love properly would do something like that. If I only had supported her depression, if I didn't leave the country, if I made it a priority, if I didn't cheat on her, if I didn't fucking call her names back, that I would have my baby right now. If I had just shut up in that moment, if I had stayed calm, I'd be in the kid zone. I'd be a father. Francis Mark St. Arnaud the seventh would be here. And he already had friends, and my friends were having kids at the same time. And they don't even talk to me as much anymore because it's almost like rubbing off, like going to jail. It's like talking to someone that goes to jail. You might go to jail. Well, talking to a guy that lost a baby, nobody really wants to talk about it. And I caution people with this. It's not through people, it's with them. I always thought through you, over you, whatever it takes, I'll get to that goal. And my dogged determination would get the end result that that was so important. And then I read a statistic about the Russians, that their gamble on communism, that they were willing to kill 50 million of their own people to gamble on this, most of it through starvation and misappropriation and corruption, but that the end result was to have equality. That if we have this utopian idea, by all cost, we would go after it. But at what cost? For Stalin, 50 million people. For Pol Pot, 2/3 of their population. For Hitler, millions of Jews in the worst kind of way. And for Mao Zedong, he didn't mind killing millions of his own people either, under the guise that it's for the betterment of us all, right? Like, if you just come sit and talk with me over this Pacific Ocean, I'll fix it all. I can fix things with my mouth and destroy things with my mouth in the same fucking mouth. Yesterday, I was like, Nice mouth. What does it do? And what does that mouth do? And the response was, probably hurt your feelings. That's what my mouth has been doing. It hurt my feelings of my siblings. I'm confessing on lives on YouTube's, and I'm reflecting on just how my attitude towards being attacked was to attack back, and it's my shame and guilt. I killed my son. I killed my own child with my behavior, not by my own hands and not by my own decision, but by my own behavior. And to pay that price, normally it's like, I was going to always every year going to the principal's office or getting arrested when I got older. Being told no, you can't have weed in South Korea meant yes, I was going to bring weed to South Korea. What was the price? Prison. Prison's the price. No means no. And forcing people into a yes or forcing them into a bungalow um, isn't going to get the result that I was desiring. You might win an argument, but you always lose an argument. It's so weird to win something and lose something at the same time. I felt like I was winning my freedom. I was getting away from someone abusive, someone that called me names, someone that was unsupportive. But at the same time, here was a woman that was at least trying, that just jumped into the role, started holding the camera, started wearing the shirts, and started coming to the events. That's why it hurt so much, is because I chose someone that I felt that I was in love with, that I am in love with. And it's not that I know when I'm in love. And I felt that it was the perfect timing, and it was the perfect timing. Everything was lining up but my behavior. It sucks that I'm broken this way, that I'm made to respond in such a aggressive manner. And to think that after all these years of abuse that I wouldn't be so aggressive, but it's my dark side. It's my toxicity. It's the badge that I have to wear for the rest of my life. It's the reason that my son is dead. I think of this Ivan the Terrible. He got so enraged that he killed his own son. First, he beat his wife till the baby was miscarried. Then the son came to confront the king, the czar at the time, and he hit him over the head so violently that his brains blew out. He killed his own firstborn son and fucked up the heir of his whole kingdom. This is what kind of anger I'm talking about. It's kind of anger that my mom shows towards me, especially if she's pissed. Hell have no fury than a woman scorned. All I heard from was last night was stories of men showing up across the world saying, you need to come see your son right now. If you ever want to see your son, you got to come see him now. That your 9-year-old son has a brain tumor, and that they didn't even offer you a house to stay in. You had to sleep in the hospital off to the side till it was unhealthy, and your mom told you it's time to give that up. In the middle of that, his wife, who has a boyfriend now and they have a kid together, were trying to get him to sign over custody, like to change his name, while he had tubes in him and everything. And this gentleman shared his sad story of his 10-year-old son passing away. The other one had lost the baby, and the other one's battling his ex right now, battling her for custody of their children. And the sadness, the anger, and the guilt was worn on all my friends around the table I was at last night. And I thought we were in the Pain Olympics. I'm sure these women aren't happy with the outcome. I'm sure that they're not happy with the stress. I'm sure they're not happy with the toll on their bodies, and I'm sure they're not happy with the results. But here we all are in the Pain Olympics, just holding tighter, doubling down, biting down on our mouthpieces, and making it worse on each other. These are completely separate incidences from me. I have my own, but last night gathered around the table, and that's what the story started telling. And it's embarrassing, really. It's embarrassing because everyone loses. The children lose a father. Some children lose their lives, and the other children are used as pawns. My buddy just told another case, said, my grandmother gave me that house, 70,000 pounds. That's his house. His grandma gave to him, and he signed her onto it. And now he's out the house. He doesn't have his own clothes. He doesn't have his own CDs, and he doesn't have his own grandmother's house. He's going to lose his family's inheritance through a divorce and watch his daughter get verbally abused, possibly physically abused, if I know this woman to be true, you know, with him powerless on the outside, staying in a house in the attic with bad Wi Fi. And that are the story of my friends. And it's also my story. And the reason I do this mostly is there's probably a lot of men's stories. There's a lot of people out there that are experiencing this, experiencing us probably eating too many French fries. Thanks for that motorcycle. Maybe too much red meat. I'm not quite sure, but we're aggressive. We're untouched. We're unloved. Most of us are unsuccessful. I look around at my friends and they seem to only have the money for the beer money and the drug money. But after that's spent, there's not much left. We've grinded 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, do hard construction. We've grinded side hustles, growing our own, selling this to flip that, double our money, sell Mike Tyson wraps. And no matter how many times, this is where the depression comes in, that I do something successful or something that I consider a touchdown, no matter how many times I do that, I'm still a loser. I lose because I've lost friends, because of my attitude. They won't deal with me, touch me with a 10-foot pole. And people that have experienced the other Mark Saint, the Mark ain't that cool, ain't that nice, and ain't that saintly. Maybe out of the insomnia and maybe the bong rips and obviously the email, I've got to see myself in a light that I kind of don't want to see myself as part of the narcissism. Who wants to see themselves as a bad person? Who wants to see themselves as a sinner? And then there's people that admitted their sins. There was the full-on Spanish Inquisition for 300 years. 300 years, 3 centuries of admitting false guilt so you didn't have worse punishment, and inflicting worse punishment so that there would be more guilt. And now we have capital punishment, and we're as worse as the killers that we kill. There's no love lost, but everybody's losing love. And the thing that makes us so cool, that we can light each other up, we do the opposite. We tear each other down, and we fire more missiles and volleys and artillery at the front line, or presumed front line, or whatever we take target at, and we fire. And really, it's like that pointing. The 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers are pointing back at me. And the moment that I want to shed some, like she would say, shit on her, and blame them, it's rare air to be able to point the fingers back and say I blame myself, and that's why it's all my fault. It's all my fault. I had the opportunity of my lifetime. Yes, she had 2 kids. Yes, she called me names, but man, I loved her, and I wanted to marry her, and I never felt that way with another human being before, and to make another human being. And the amount of pressure that is too. I heard that was like the top 5 divorce things. I said it this week, but 1 was finances, 2 was cheating, or 3, whatever number is on the list. But right there, number 4 was an early pregnancy or an unexpected pregnancy. So much pressure on people, and might drive them away from each other. The same people that loved each other and made love and made a baby are the same people that are opposite ends, that are blocking each other, can't even speak to each other, and aren't saying nice things to each other. I wanted to tell her how much I loved her. If I had a chance, I wanted to ask her how she was doing, mentally and physically. Apparently, she's seen a therapist. I should probably see one too. It was one of the first hiccups we had when she cried in my house. I'm like, I have this effect on women that I'm making them cry on first visit. Man, you're a real piece of art, aren't you? Shit, asshole, saint. And kicking them out too is like dismissive, like you're nothing to me. And when, as soon as they were something to me, they felt like nothing. And so they did something, and now it's nothing. And I see all my chess moves. Like I said, I learned how to play chess, and I taught how to play chess, and I see my chess moves now, and I'm the loser at this game called life. I tried so hard to move each piece. I thought that by moving these pieces that I would be winner, winner, chicken dinner. And as long as I had massive success, none of it would matter, and everybody would regret not being nice to me. And the truth is, I was not being nice to them. And because I'm not nice to them, they don't want to deal with me, including my siblings, sometimes my parents, my dad for 20 years, my mom sometimes when we fight. And I wish I never fought with my mom. I'm a bigger piece of shit because I do that. Um, I argue with her like I'm my father, and it's not cool. I'm too much like my dad. The same man that was sitting in front of the TV before my mom went and talked to him before she was ever pregnant with me. Girls go, the girls in the kitchen were talking to my mom. This before cell phones, so everybody talked. And he said, "Oh, that guy's an asshole. Don't talk to him. Oh, don't talk to him. Who tells me who not to talk to? I'm gonna go talk to him." Big mistake. And now, forever, they will be divorced, unloving, but loving still, forever loving, but unable to show it while the whole family unit disintegrates. From my grandpa dying young to all my aunts infighting. They couldn't even spend one weekend in California for my grandma's birthday, July 4th. Everybody fighting with each other. Get out of the car. Pull over now. Get out. I'll be on my own. I'll do it my own way. And that's what we do. We want to be independent. We want to do it all our own way. We want to be the only winners. We want to cross the finish line because as long as everybody knows I'm number one, that's all that matters. And what mattered is how I treated number 2, 3, and 4, my baby sister Carrie. And she's a woman now, and I've never met her. I've never met her. I don't know what she looks like. Sometimes I walk and I see strangers that look like what I think she would look like, and I pause. We could chase all the money we want to, but millions of people lost their homes, lost their jobs. You know, the bubble burst, and people get hurt. And I'm sure the American people don't want to work till they're 70, and they don't want to work 12-hour days. I think what did they say? Is it 996? No, it's got to be 6966. 9-hour days, 6 days a week, something like that. The Chinese work, or Japanese work, or South Korean work week, or whatever they sort it out to be, ends up being 6 days a week for 12-hour days, and it burns the human out. And that's what I've been doing. I've been burning humans out. I've been burning through friends. Even now, my friends irritate me. I know I'm on the couch for free and they're trying to help me. But I still wanted to tell them about themselves at 6 a.m. and be like, "You fuckers, you guys are so rude. You're so loud. You turned on the lights. You don't care that I'm asleep." You know, and it's like I'm on his couch. He's about to go to work and do hard construction. And I wanted to bitch, but I wasn't in that position. And I bitched at my ex, and I wasn't in the right position. I forced her to be in a worse situation where it was like, choose a baby and birth with this man that you're not sure about. And he's showing you all sorts of mixed behavior and aggression and won't stop being aggressive and won't stop being what you don't want him to be, and force you into a situation where you're willing to kill your own baby. Now, I could sit here and say, you know, it was her calling me names. I sound like a douchebag. Like, there'd never be any excuse that I come up with for arguing with my pregnant wife. And I could try to say it to many people, but that's just the truth. I look like a douchebag. And even a random stranger came up and was like, "Is everything okay?" Because I was too much. And I ruined my intro to her mother. I ruined my intro to their family. I ran back home. I drove straight back with my mom's car. I wanted to see her try to fix everything. It blew up in my face again. And she's like, "I think you should just leave." And I ran home again. And I blew it 3 or 4 different times with this baby, this interaction. Once with cheating on her. I would say that I wouldn't have been in that situation and being in Brazil, to be next to this chick that I kind of already knew, and kind of that was my love affair before I met her. But I deleted my my dating apps and kind of just hollered at this one chick, but stayed on my workforce because she's all the way in Brazil. I wasn't in Brazil, and honestly, I didn't love her, and I knew something was up and amiss. But I was starting to fall for this other chick, and just started dating this other chick. Lo and behold, she got pregnant. She told me she was fertile. I didn't take it that seriously, but she told me, and both of I said, I think I told her too that day. Me too. Like we're both fertile, but I didn't think anything of it. And when it became something, I didn't think of her other children. I didn't calculate that I would have to be a father to these other kids. I was just solely focused on my things, my feelings. And she'll say that in the emails. You only talk about the way you feel. Well, yeah, I made her feel great, I'm sure, on dates, but then it would rip the rug right from underneath her when things didn't go my way. This is my destructive behavior. This became my undoing. It wasn't just my temper. It wasn't just my anger. It's the way I treat people. When I don't get the way that I like it, I want to get up at 6 a.m. and chew my friends out and say, get off of meth and fucking let me sleep. And they probably say, fuck you, this is my house. And I'd be out in this cold ass weather without a dime in my pocket, one of the most expensive places in the world. So I didn't say shit. And I shouldn't have said shit if I respected her and respected the life that she was carrying in her body. And it's one of the most disgusting feelings in my stomach to think that I was that aggressive to a pregnant woman that I loved with my own child, the vessel that was carrying my child and probably sending mad stress and cortisol through to the kid. I was arguing with her, and she was arguing with me. And if she was going to be arguing with me, she was going to push back, and she was going to demand respect at the bare minimum, because that's what classy ladies do. And I couldn't even do that. I can't earn a classy lady. I have to sleep with sluts because that's what I think I deserve, or maybe that's my what do they call that, self-esteem level, or maybe that's my own undoing. But I usually slept with people that just said yes, and then I started to just sleep with people that said that I liked, and then I didn't sleep with anyone that until I wanted to have babies. And then the chick that I started that with and kind of broke the seal, she ended up having a baby. Now her husband left her 3 days after she left the hospital, so her story's not better than mine, but at least her kid's alive. And I remind my friends often of that. At least your kids are alive. And I tell my friend in England, at least you got Poppy Jean. So, you know, that's what it is, you know. And she still has her children. So she already had two in the bank. And she really was going all in for me to have a third. And here I was treating her abusive and just like dismissive. And I could kick her out of my house even though my seed was in her. And not be financially stable, not be mentally stable, not be emotionally stable, and to not be able to control my emotional regulation. This is how I killed my own child. It's all my fault. This is the most confessional I can give. Been thinking about it for hours. I really was already in insomnia, and then I kind of got maybe about 4 or 5 a.m. kind of conked out. Started listening to my Zen music and my hertz, megahertz, and frequency music and vibe, and those guys tumbled in again, drinking coffee and being loud and turning on lights and not sleeping and waking me up and fuck my sleep schedule up. And it's still raining. It's supposed to come up to 20 degrees, but it's cold. And I'm here in Finland without a way out. And even if I get to Thailand, I don't have any money there. And I'm relying on my good graces and my good name and the money that I left there to have a bungalow and to put up for about 3 months, put up and shut up and just meditate on everything, you know, be able to get to New Zealand, improve my channel, improve my message, improve my business, but improve the quality of me and leave this on the edge of the world. I have to do better. There's just no doubt about it. If there's any motivation in this, it's just like everything's a learning lesson, and whether you want to learn it or not, life is teaching us. And it is so clever at teaching us. It gives us the lessons that we need to learn. And unfortunately, I learned the worst way, and I knew it before the new year. I knew I should have been with her. I should have been kissing her at New Year. And I traveled so far and tried so hard to be there by Christmas, and I still had New Year, and I blew it. I blew past many times that we could have been together, and I decided to keep fighting, and I couldn't stop it. I felt like she was attacking me, and it's like that fight or flight mechanisms. I don't freeze, but I do freak out. And that's what I should stop doing, is freaking out. My anxiety level's ridiculous. I had my buddy the other day, he gave me the fucking memes, and I shared what he gave me, and he freaked the fuck out. You would have swore I gave away the fucking launch codes, the nuclear launch codes. He was freaking the fuck out on me. Take that down now. La, 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 question mark, question mark, question mark. Blah, 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 blah. It was like ABFDFSJK. Like, what are you even saying? You're so frustrated and anxiety that you're not even typing correctly. Of course, my phone was off. I wasn't near Wi Fi, but as soon as I got to Wi Fi, 50 messages later, worse than an ex girlfriend, he blew my phone up. Take that shit down. Take that post down. Fuck, bro. It's just a post. But it's not just a baby. It was the baby that I wanted at the perfect time. The seventh of a generation ended because of my stupidity, because of my lack. And that sucks. I know there are people that are offering me to have babies. They know how bad I wanted to have a baby, but it was with this woman. It was the only woman that I ever wanted to have a child with. It's hard for me to trust women. Finally, I found one that I loved enough and trusted enough for it to happen. And look what I did. I fucked it up. I fucked it up. And it's not cool. And I have to learn a better way to talk to people and not manipulate people. I remember talking to Richard K, rest in peace. He was one of my sales managers. He was a closer, but he talked so weird. It was almost like he was always selling a car. Even in a normal conversation, like going to take a piss or walk a dog, he was manipulative. It's the way he talked. It was like always be closing, ABC, always be closing. And for the first time in my life, I didn't close the best deal of my life. I missed the deal. I out talked myself. I didn't shut up. Someone should have kicked me underneath the table like we used to do and kick you in the shins like, shut up, you're blowing the deal. I blew the deal with my mouth and from the south, and I thought it was inconceivable, inconceivable that it was even possible that I picked the wrong goblet. And I'm not immune to the poison. And I drank, both of them have poison. Both of us have poison. Both of us brought our A game back down to our D game, broke a knee, and fucking and now lost our careers. And it happens that fast in football. That's why when we watch somebody get knocked out, we all raise up because there's so much energy. You tried for 6 months straight, dieted for 8 weeks straight, trained really hard, sparred and fucking did everything it took to become the Rocky of life, and then you're getting knocked out in front of your children and your wife, and you can't move. Manny Pacquiao, 8th round, getting fucking counterpunched by up against the ropes. He face planted right in front of his kids. It was just like the worst knockout I've ever seen. Was that Barrera? I don't remember who the other guy, the Mexican fighter, but he clocked him, and Marquez, I think, and just fucking flatlined him on his whole scene. And you just go like, that's what that feels like, to be a superior athlete that beat most of the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1% and still get knocked out. Still risk it for the biscuit. Still risk your undefeated record. Go 50-0 and still be a loser in life because you don't know how to read, or you treat people like an asshole, or you're just a complete douchebag and don't have any reverence or protection for others. I'm so guilty, and I feel so sinful, and I'm not as saintly as my last name is given to me. I'm a fuck up. And that's what he sat me down and told me. He said, Mark, you're a jack off. Richard K sat me down, and that day I was like, nah, I'm gonna go back to college. And I went back to college, and I graduated college homeless. And I thought that, by taking fourth in state, I didn't take first in state. I didn't get a win state championship. Adam did. Adam has a rich daddy. Adam has a thriving business. Adam has a boat. He's on the yacht. I can be on the yacht with my friends, but I don't own the yacht. And I got to ride the couch because I'm depend on my friends so I can make it around this world journey. I couldn't afford it, and I'm out of money, but it's something that I needed to do for my healing. It's cheaper than therapy. Travel is my therapy. I'm gonna have to make some shirts. Um, it's the only way I can process this. I told all my friends I need their healing. I need to remember the good times. and not just focus on the bad times. And they don't even have any answers for me. And by the way, they're on meth or crack. So my sleep schedule's fucked up. Um, my phone's off, and the way I treat people has been wrong. And yeah, I've been doing hour shows, so just good to know that that's what I've been having to endure myself and my own actions, and not going to the shop that night and going to get my own shit. I have to blame myself. And for not hitting the button on the computer so I could get whatever paperwork that they were bitching about, so I wouldn't get the ticket, even though I did have my business license. Or not buying the car because it had a blown head gasket. I found the day after we gave the guy $5,000 cash, and I just thought it was a nice Toyota Prius, and then the whole dash light came up like a Christmas tree, getting me all sorts of tickets, driving around the city because I wanted the magazine to be pretty and to get in every smoke shop. And I drove around in a car that had no, in a truck that was given to me that had no air conditioning. And I did get $50,000 from my friend because his father died, and that's when I get to start my business. And I still owe him, even though I left him the house and he got us evicted, and he got back on methamphetamines and smoked his way through $100,000 worth of methamphetamines. I'm waiting for him to sober up. I owe him money. I owe my mom's friend money. He invested in me. I owe my stepdad probably 20 grand. I owe my boy Chris. I couldn't find him. He probably blocked me. He lended. It was a part of a deal with the sound equipment for my festival. I owe $200 to some of the performers. I didn't pay the rest of the $1,500 to the loonies because they didn't perform, and they were assholes to me and pulled a gun on me. Yeah, this life has been hard on me, and I've been hard on the people that I loved, and for no reason. She said no one should have to take that, and it's probably the second woman to tell me that. But she's like, yeah, yeah, you've been through some shit, so but nobody needs to be through that. It feels like PTSD. It feels like war. You know, you come home, you've been through prison, you've been through world travel, you've been through loss, you've been through businesses, you've been through failure, you've been through trying hard, you've been through diets, you've been up and down in weight and depression and still fighting, and then games on the line, I didn't score. I blew the biggest game of my life, and I don't know how to process it. I feel like the Super Bowl loser. I went to the Super Bowl, but I didn't get the ring, and I didn't get the win. I didn't get my child. And it's caused so much disruption and foul play. My mom started smoking cigarettes again. Me and my father haven't spoken since. Everybody kind of like, my brother was cool about it. At least he said, I'm sorry for your loss. And my dad said, Jeremy told me, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sure you asked. And it was going to heal us. So I started talking to my brother again. He was going to be an uncle. And my dad, me and him had a reason to talk. And my mom had a reason to quit smoking. And I had a reason to be married. And I had a reason to be a father. And I had a reason to settle down and stop traveling and be a massive success with my business so I could support this family. And none of that has transpired. I can barely support myself. And this struggle is real. And I'm sick of borrowing from people. I'm sick of owing people. I'm sick of dismissing people. I'm sick of blowing up on people. I've been really good about keeping my temper in check, because every time I lose it, I end up losing it. Something. The bubble pops. And it's my fault. I thought I could just talk to people any which way, how I wanted to. It was very south of me, but you know, my mouth from the south wrote a check my ass couldn't cash. And this is my confession. This is how I process it. This is why I smoke weed, to numb it and to kind of forget it. And much like opiums or heroines or whatever other drugs people do, to numb the pain or forget the mistakes or undo the sins. I've been whipping myself with a cat nine tails for a minute, and it hurts, but it doesn't hurt as much as the pain that I've caused other people. Believe it or not, I do have some empathy, and I do feel sorry, and I do feel regret, and I do feel just sadness. Like I did that to people. My own brother, the 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 the, the wife to my children, my mom. It's embarrassing. In business too. So to be a better human, to make more money, to do better in business, I have to adjust. I have to be the guy that's in control more of my emotions and regulate my emotions and regulate my own sleep patterns, get on my own house and get on my own Airbnb and get my own finances so I won't be dependent on other people. I can keep up on my own fitness, and I'm grateful that it's been melting away, melting away. I've been grateful, that I've maintained some sort of fitness and discipline and in some sort of show and business. I've still getting orders. I still owe orders. I got a job to do tomorrow. I'm gonna be at the event again. I'll be making shirts live. And my friend lent me €100 so I can go get some shirt blanks because I didn't have enough money for my phone to be on. But I won my court case and I get my money back. So hopefully I can get my phone back on, get a little cheddar in my pocket so I don't just land in Thailand with nothing, and get to something, get back to my journey, the thing that started this all, this idea that I just wanted to be happy and be successful and have a dream and just work that dream like an addiction. Like I've been working my other addictions, like I never given up on my addictions. So if I never give up on my dream, what would happen if I give up on my addictions and started putting that energy into my dream? And this is what's transpired. I made it around the world. I'm almost done with my journey. I only have 2 more stops: Thailand and New Zealand. Wouldn't mind stopping in Australia just because it's right there, just for like a week and say what's up to my friend. But I'd have to afford it. I'd have to sell more Mike Tyson raps. I'd have to pull a rabbit out of my ass and do something. And I've been shooting out ideas from tacos and beers here, like I did in Brazil, to beer taxi. Me being the sober one and having a license and being able to drive in Finland with a driver's license, I can drive drunk people around home and sell them beer once they get home and deliver them beer and hopefully stack a bunch of thousands of euros and just do that for a month and get back on track and find a way to pay my investors back and pay them back, pay back my family, and more than that, more than money, but with love, and not just stop talking to them because I owe them money or I'm fighting with them or not communicating with people even though my phone's off. I can make excuses, but the truth is people have helped me. And I thought I've been good with all the people that have helped me, but I still owe something. And that's why I think that I'm alive still. And a matter of fact, that's why I need to be alive still. It's because I owe these people something. I owe them the payback, not only in monetary, but in appreciation. And something that I've been lacking. And I got exposed. This is me being exposed. I got exposed to being a violent person. I got exposed for being an asshole. It's nice to be nice to people and be able to do introductions, but who are you behind closed doors? Whatever you do in the dark comes out in the light. And I was dark to her, and she snuffed out my light. And I think it needed to happen. I didn't think it needed to happen that the child needed to die because I knew by New Year's, but I needed to realize how I was treating people. And the lesson has been learned. The hard way. Always gotta do fucking shit the hard way. That's my show. I need a bong rib. That's my confession. These are my sins. It's my cross to bear, and I don't need sympathy. I need sleep. And I need to keep just for the rest of my life giving back, doing Thanksgiving, doing the best that I can, feeding the homeless, treating people right, being kind. It seems to be beyond my reach. I could sell a $70,000 car, but I can't be kind to a 5-month pregnant woman with my kid. Yeah. Talk about toxic. So, yeah, this is my confession. This is my truth. This is real. This is in real life, and I'm glad I got it live. It's my morning motivation. It's not much motivation, but it's motivated me to learn something that needed to be learned. And if we can all learn that thing about ourselves, that thing that we got to learn the hard way sometimes for most of us, and we learn the hard lessons, it's time that we start paying attention. And attention paid me. Peace and love. Most importantly, love. and peace. It's all important. And as always, Chigathon. That means goodbye, but not forever. And I will see you on the other side as soon as you like, share, and subscribe. Ciao.